Welcome to another episode of the Angels Positivity and Love Show. Incredible guests the world over. Many are healers. We've had a White House physician to the U.S. president, the youngest Delta Force operator ever admitted to Delta Force, Good Morning America reporter, and many others. I'll mention Ian Stenlake, since we have a Hollywood film director coming on right now, out of L.A., I think. Um, Ian Stenlake, the Australian actor, Sea Patrol. He's been on the show. What a wonderful guest that was. We've got Barnet Bain, award-winning film director, producer, uh, teaches creativity, but it's really helping you tap your heart, grow your awareness, get out of what you know, and expand. Challenge yourself and even ask daily, what will you allow for, or what will you allow for more? I'd say it's love, but that's why Barnett's on. He's gonna explain what he does for others, his outlook on life, how it's shifted. And we've met. We met maybe 6 or 7 years ago. He was kind enough to write a testimonial for me back then. So I'm super excited to have him on. He looks fabulous. His energy is great. We were just chatting before the show. Barnett, welcome to the show.
It's so great to be back with you again. Nothing is nothing much has changed, right?
Exactly. Time flies, for sure. And if we get that far, we'll ask about the Mandela effect. I want to get your take on time and could it be speeding up for some down the road? But let's start with the basics. You help people, you teach creativity, but you teach imagination, you teach awareness, you teach all the fun stuff that happens down here. How do you describe it?
Well, we're always creating all of the time. All of us are always creating every thought and every feeling and every choice and every decision. They're all creative acts. We're not too we're not too connected to that. We think that creativity is, what special quote unquote people do, the kind of people that show up on the covers of those grocery store papers like the Inquirer or something, and they're usually getting into trouble. But we're all always creating all of the time. And so when we know that, we can be a little more decisive about the kinds of things we think about and choose.
And you've taught, again, creativity, inspiration, imagination for decades. Omega Institute, you're a faculty member there. You just got back from Spain. You've been doing this a long time. You're a recognized name, outstanding in your field, we'll say, with sunflowers. Uh, Talk to us about each person's individual, unique life path. Usually, we're pretty connected to everything there is, or all that is, when we're a kid. Then adulting kicks in, or trauma, and our teens, whenever, and we run for the hills. How do you help reawaken folks, or how do you help them do their own self-discovery?
You know, we start we start being worked on by the world at a really, really young age. We come into the world and as infants, we're surrounded by all these people, aunts and uncles and cousins and family and neighbors and community, and they all have certain roles to play in our lives. And before long, we get trained in what to think about things and how to feel about things, and our opinions and our belief systems. They all are pretty much hand me down. And so, at some point in our lives, if we're very lucky and very fortunate, we start asking questions like, why do I think like this? And are my thoughts original with me, or are my beliefs about everything, do they all work? And where'd they come from? And if you're like me, one day, I actually had the thought one day, I have never had an original thought. And then I realized that's probably the first original thought I ever had. So now we get to sift through the way we think about life and feel about things, and we can begin to mix and match them and choose them and decide which ones work and which ones don't work. And that's a really creative act. Now we start to create a handmade life, not just a life that's passed down from how we've been trained or programmed by others. Some of those trainings are loving and beautiful, and some of them were not so helpful.
Along the way for you, what exposure did you have? Was it India, Eckhart Tolle, Don Miguel Ruiz, this movie, that movie, music, the Beatles, something? What helped you on your path that maybe today you're not necessarily doing anymore? Is it a meditation practice? How have you bounced around a lot? Have you tasted some stuff and moved on and do other stuff today?
I grew up in a really tiny little town of 3,000 people in northern Quebec, Canada, a big snowy town. A lot of time in nature, tiny town on a lake, half the year under a blanket of snow, and just beautiful. And my teacher was really nature and being in the wild, and it allowed me to notice to become aware of the difference between being in nature, in the natural world, and how everything in the natural world seems to be working together. And I could see, even as a little boy, that wasn't exactly the same vibe when people got together. It was a little more complicated. So that was really, that was really the formative years. I've always, as far back as I can remember, been asking those kinds of questions about who are we really in relationship to each other, and who am I in relationship to all that is? What's the connection? What is the connection? And it wasn't until I was a lot older that I realized that question for me was the foundation of the question, what is spirituality? That's kind of the same question. What am I really in connection to all that is?
Well, that leads right into our next question or questions. We'll see. So you must be intuitive because you knew this was coming. I'll ask it one way. It's not my favorite way, but are we alone? And what can we trust, or who can we trust? And then, is love the fabric of the universe? And how about this? Let's throw in one more to get this smoking and maybe a fire here. Galactic figures, loving figures. Are we alone in that sense? Do you have a dream time experience you could add towards the end of this answer? Past of a relative visiting you in nature, a certain animal experience or trees, or lights in the sky, or much more. What would you like to share? But first, are we alone? What can we trust? And so on.
Boy, these are a lot of big questions that we could go on for a long time. But I'll tell you a little story that might shed some light on some of these. It does for me. A long time ago, I had a dream, and in the dream, I was walking. I was about 18, 19 years old. I was walking along Regent Street in London, England, in a slight drizzle, in a long coat, and a red bus, double-decker bus came by, and it hit a pothole. And a huge sheet of muddy water came at me and just hit me straight on. And I remember being so clearly how upset I was. And the bus went by, and people looking out the windows, they covered their eyes. Oh my goodness. I was so upset. And then in that second, an alarm went off, and I sat up in my bed. At the time, my bed was located in a little apartment in New York City. And for a brief moment, I was between two worlds. There was a part of me that was still actively feeling the emotions of being drenched by this double-decker bus in London, England. And then a part of me that was aware of being sitting awake in my bed. And I realized in that moment that both realities were equally true.
Hmm.
And that my consciousness, my focus, my channel guide, my selector was tuned between them both. So I was experiencing both of these realities, and that given where I put my attention is what becomes more and more my experience. So all that to say that when I was in the London experience, there were other people, there were other things, there were buildings, there was a bus, there was rain, there was me, and there I was in that experience, peering out through my eyes, walking in my coat, and only when I woke up in New York did I realize, wow, that whole experience, the ground under my feet, the water, the bus, I both was in it as the subject and I was creating it as a creator. It was populated by other people. They were all totally real. And in my bed in New York, the bed, the covers, the pillow, the traffic outside, I am both a participant and a creator of that too, totally real. And so, are we alone? Well, depends on your perspective. If I'm in if I'm in the London scenario, when I'm in it, it's a full experience. When I'm at another level of awareness, I realize, well, yes, but I created it all, and then I participated with my own creation. So I think that that's a lot of food for thought, and hopefully our listeners can chew on that for a while, and come to some not necessarily conclusions. I haven't come to any conclusions, but there's lots of things to play with there. There are no straightforward answers to that. When I was in the London experience, was I alone? No, it was a full experience, a big city thriving around me. And when I woke up, I realized, well, I was alone in it. I created it all. And who's to say that the same thing doesn't apply in our daily life? So these all have to do, the answer to that question has to do with at what level of consciousness are you operating in it?
So I'm going to ask about out of body experiences, near death experiences. You can just say yes, and we'll move on. You can say no. You can explain something if you wish. But when it comes to
Sure.
out of body experiences, which I feel is akin to the answer you just gave, depending on where you're
Yes.
at, what we're talking about, you could argue that creativity, in a way, is you're going out, reaching out into the universe, and bringing back something beautiful that's ready to come down. Out of body experiences, near death experiences, Barnet.
Well, we're very comfortable with deciding what life experiences is. We create a lane for ourselves, and whether we call it religion or we call it science or we call it physics, um, and we have the rules of physics. We have the laws of the universe that we're capable of understanding, and as if I was on the ground floor of my building and I looked out, I'd have one experience of the reality. If I went up to the 10th floor and I looked out, I would have a whole different context of what is going on. And so we have experiences and we shoehorn them into whatever floor of the building
Hmm.
we can look out from.
Good answer. Okay, three random but not so random quotes. One from a NASA astronaut, one's from Gary Zukav, one from Star Wars, Obi-Wan
Sure.
Kenobi to Luke. I'd love to get any and all reaction in any direction, but one is Story Musgrave, NASA astronaut. He said, "Getting out of the comfortable path, that's what exploration is all about." Love it. And then Gary Zukav in Seed of the Soul.
Yep.
He said, "You change the way that you shape the light which is flowing through you by changing your consciousness." I guess that's the elevator in the building. And then Star Wars, Luke, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi talking to Luke in the original was 1977 Star Wars. Luke,
I
you're going to
worked on
find.
it.
Oh, I did not know that. And we just got that on the show. Awesome. Um, Luke, you're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend on our own point of view, which I think you've just been touching on. So, what's your reaction?
Yes.
Awesome. Um, okay.
Yes.
Awareness, thinking. I'm pointing at my heart. Love, conditional love, or unconditional love, conditional love. There's 1,000 terms to describe being in the mind or in the global slipstream of unconsciousness. 1% negativity to a lot more. When you're in your heart, can you describe the difference? How do you like to describe the different energy states?
Okay. Well, do you want to do a quick little experiment?
Sure.
Let's do a quick little practice. So right now, close your eyes and add up in your head 2 plus 2. Tell me.
Oh,
Go ahead.
four,
Times 16
64.
divided by 3.
21.333 affinity.
All right. Now, so how does that feel in your body? Just
Oh,
notice. Just
not,
just notice how it feels in your body.
yeah, not fun, like a pothole.
Okay. So put a pin in that. Now take a breath. Breathe in through your heart. Breathe out slowly through your heart. Breathe in through your heart with imagining somebody that you care about, or a favorite pet, or a person, or an experience. And breathe in through the heart, imagining a favorite pet. And breathe out through the heart, imagining a favorite pet. And breathe in through the heart, imagining a favorite pet. And breathe out. How does that feel?
Excellent. And I've got
So,
my dog,
so okay, now here's the question.
my
There we
dog
go.
who passed over on the Rainbow Bridge October 10th.
There
But I
we
had
go.
her,
Before we get too far
yeah.
away from the experience,
Yep.
I want you to notice the difference between the first body state and the second body state. Breathing with through the heart about your dog, or running the numbers.
Yes.
So that is the distinction. That's all we need to know about it. That's the distinction. When in your head, you have no awareness of anything else. You're efforting and striving, and it doesn't feel great.
Hmm.
And sometimes it feels better than other times. When you're in your heart, there's a very different experience of connectivity and oneness, and you're in your body. We can talk about it and talk about it, but all the talk doesn't help anything. The experience of it is louder than any words.
It's kind of like talking about walking your dog versus you walk your dog and you're not doing this.
That's the difference. Yes, you're doing this. You're abandoning the world.
This could still be your Zen master, technically speaking.
Could be. I don't know. I've never thought of it that way. I spend much too much time with this, and it does take me out of the world.
Mm.
There's lots of trickster energy around it, that it's a head trip.
Mm.
It is a relationship with the straight line. So you don't even have to have a body to have a relationship with this. So sometimes that's good, sometimes that's not so good. So it's not about good, bad, right, or wrong. It's about sometimes you need to be here if you want to add 2 and 2 and divide it by 12.
Mm.
And sometimes you need to be here if you want to have a satisfying day at the beach with your dog and your friends.
Can we say it one other way? You've been covering a lot, and in some ways, a lot of the answers are very parallel. Embodiment, being in your body versus being out of your body, you are almost again touching on it. Can you talk to us about embodiment, or you have other ways to describe it being present. How about that? Can you just say a little bit more on that front?
I spent a lot of years trying to get out of my body, a lot of years looking for mystical experiences that would have me leave my body. And those are experiences. And I am more interested in experiencing life inside my body right now. Um, what is the difference? Well, inside my body, I have a incarnated relationship
Hmm.
with all that is, and I'm processing it in an embodied way. Again, the difference between the little exercise we just did, very different thing. You know, sometimes we hear lots of talk about downloading consciousness as if one could, but one could download a a correlate of all of our thoughts and experiences. We could make an analog in ones and zeros and upload it to the web, and for sure that is going to happen in sometimes. And it looks like consciousness, but it's not an embodied experience. It's a manipulation of ones and zeros and inputs in order to create a symbolic, though sometimes very convincing experience, but never of the connection that one has that we just played with your dog. So to have an experience where a mystical experience where I shoot out of my body, I'm in other dimensions, it's one thing to do that with awareness.
Hmm.
It's another thing to do that as a search for some kind of spiritual tourism.
You've just shown us one amazing art gallery, or really big one, introduced us to the owner. Let's cross the street, go into another sort of art gallery. Disclosure, aliens, loving galactic beings, or fearful ones that are going to come down and eat the slow ones first. We've got a movie coming out by Spielberg. I think it's June. Maybe it's called Disclosure. I've forgotten. And there's a lot of organizations pushing for, resisting. There's a lot of hubbub going on. It's like daytime soap opera, even in another country, Mexico, which are pretty intense. What's your take on all of this? Is it just more the same of what we've been discussing? Where you put your focus is where you put it. How you spend your energy is how you spend it. Be more aware. How do you like to handle the concept of what's coming, though, at a societal level, if and when we start showing some cards from the 1940s to now?
We have a lot coming at us that is revealing cards that we've hidden from ourselves for a very long time. So, as we love and as we grow, which is the only thing that is ever going on, is love and growth or fear and protection. When we pull in because we're afraid of what lurks behind in the shadows or behind the clouds, what is really going on is we are, it's really about unprocessed fears that we have from ourselves that we push out into the outer world and look for scary scaries. So that's pretty much all I have to say on it. You know, if I'm frightened of things, and I know people that are frightened of all kinds of things, they have fears that are undiscovered and unrealized and unprocessed that they project out into the world. What you push down into your psyche is going to come out you in the world. What you push down, anger, feeling misunderstood, unappreciated, things happen to me. When you push that down in yourself, it comes at you as a double-decker bus bearing down on a puddle and splashing you and making you feel like a victim and unappreciated. What you push down in the in yourself comes at you as the way of the world. No, 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 Barnett. I hear people saying, no, these things are really, really happening. But then, the alarm clock's going to wake up, going to ring. You're going to wake up in your bed in Manhattan, or you're going to wake up out of from the experience of the world from the first floor to suddenly to the third floor, and it's all going to look natural. Are there bad people in the world? Yes, yes, there are bad people. And if you're in touch with yourself, you don't really need to cross paths with them.
Know thyself, perhaps.
Know thyself and realize that most of the projections that we have out into the world with other people, with other races, with other religions, with other beings, with other consciousness, most of our anxieties about them are our own issues that we're projecting on them.
Luke, you're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend on our own point of view.
Almost all of them.
So, talk to us about how slowing down is quintessential or key to expansion, inner growth, growing your
Well,
awareness, compassion, kindness.
that's a really, really great, that's a really great point. So, one of the beautiful things about friendships, and I've been giving a lot of thought recently to friendships. I just wrote a book about friendships, how to be a friend in an unfriendly world. And a lot of what you're talking about, I look at deeply in this book. One of the things I've learned about friendships is that in a really good quality friendship, friends are relationships that happen between equals. Not There's not a disparity in status. You're not One person is not feeling less than or better than, and there's a relationship there of equals. And in that kind of relationship, a friendship allows us to slow it down so that we can take a pause when something comes at us that is messy, or that we would normally have a reaction to and have a spontaneous knee-jerk response to. It gives us a place where we can slow it down and take a pause, so we can inject a consideration between our knee-jerk response to something messy coming up. It allows us to think, oh, do I have to just respond in a knee-jerk way, or can I take a pause and ask, what is this? What about this is bothering me? Where did I learn to be bothered by it? Is that something that I decided by myself, or was I taught to be bothered by that? Should I be bothered by the potential for alien civilizations? Should that bother me? Should I be automatically frightened? Where did I learn to be so fearful? Where did I learn to jump to these conclusions? It just allows us to pause. And in the pause, we might make a different decision or say a different thing on the other side of the pause. And in a really good friendship, friends acknowledge that you don't have to just keep batting the old conditioned responses back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You can, in a friendship, you can pause and slow it down long enough to recognize pattern behavior, acknowledge, yes, this is a pattern behavior I have. Forgive myself for, if I jump in with my pattern behavior, or congratulate myself if I decide not to jump in with my pattern behavior, and grow.
I'm going to do 2 to 3 to 4 quotes and see what comes to light right now. One might be Karl Hammerschlag, originally doctor out of Yale, I think turned psychotherapist, passed over, tight with Patch Adams. I'm going to attribute it to him from his book, Dancing Healers. And your book, How to Be a Friend, and I know it's a longer title. It just came out. It's
How to be a friend in an unfriendly world. Yeah,
and can you show the cover? Is that okay?
yeah.
And we'll get that in the notes for the video. But Barnet Bain, this is on Amazon, and again,
It's on Amazon. It's in bookstores. It's at airports. It's everywhere.
awesome. Okay, here's the quote. In American society, we think something is happening when there's talking. In Native American tribes, something is happening when there's silence. Now, I'll add that Dull Knife on the other side said there's no such thing as silence. There's just stillness. But I think we're parsing words there. Here's a couple of definitions of compassion. Um, Compassion is releasing fears and judgments, not judging, taking action with no thought. And I'll do two more.
Where did that come from?
From angels, let me do compassion is releasing fears and judgments. That came from Archangel Raphael around 2014. Abe, the Abraham of old, an angel on everyone's team, said compassion is not judging, taking action with no thought. And an angel named Dale, who coached an Olympic athlete we all know from the 70s or 80s, not an easy job, I think, said compassion is just being and trusting the outcome to be the highest intent for all. But I have one more for you from an angel named Mac, don't call her Mackenzie. Compassion is treating every moment with the awareness of a newborn baby. Was there one of those, all of them that you want to react to, or could you combobulate a new one, new definition of compassion? I think there's a trillion definitions of compassion.
I would say that compassion is an active caring born out of personal suffering. So, for example, you're going through trials and tribulations. I have gone through trials and tribulations. I made it out. I can have empathy for you. That is compassion, but it involves action. Compassion involves an active caring for you. If there's no action, it's not compassion. It might be empathy, it might be sympathy, but it is not compassion. Compassion is a verb.
I've never heard that. I love that. Brilliant. Okay, I'll still do a couple more quotes, but I think I can remember these. I can't remember if Mother Teresa said it on the other side or this side when she was alive, but she said, when you judge people, you have no time to love them. And again, same thing for the next quote by her. Laughter is love. And then one quote from an angel named Joy. She said, I think she said something like, laugh more, your laughter is hope and healing to others. What's jumping out now from those three?
Well, I always think that, again, one of the components of being a good friend is to lighten up and to share it with others, because laughter is fuel, and fun. Laughter is not fluff; it's fuel, and fun is medicine. And so, when we share our lightness and our joy with other people, it's soothing, it's wonderful. And so I would encourage all our listeners to send something silly to a friend, a meme, a joke, just and brighten somebody's day.
What's the only flower found on the human face, Barnet?
You tell me, my friend.
Tulips.
Nice, I like it.
Iris, though, also. There's always another answer.
I like it.
I'm going to
A
read something.
nosegay.
I'm going to read a quote from angels from the past, but it's all about compassion, kindness, joy, stuff like that. Again, I'd love to get your reaction, but I'd like to let this be a little bit of buying you time, not that you're going to need it. Because after this, after we get a reaction, I'd love to have you share a mantra, but one you haven't given in 20 years since you were 5. So a mantra, and if you're really comfortable, would you give the mantra and say it 3 times so people can pick up on your vibration? Because it's not always about the English. Those are the gloves on the energy. If people could sense your energy, and that'll be the next question. If I totally forget this, hopefully you'll remind me. Past lives, we're not going to get into it. We're just going to have you acknowledge, to what degree are you aware of your concurrent past lives, you as a healer, shaman, whatever you want to call it, helping others become whole again, which they already are. But here's that quote. Sometimes the person next to you or a stranger just needs validation via love and compassion. A smile changes any moment. So too does laughter or a few kind words. Be compassion to all. Do it, like you were saying earlier. What's your reaction?
Yes.
I love it. Now, mantra. If you could not pick George Harrison lyrics or this guru said that, anything like that, what's your mantra and would you say it 3 times for us?
Remember the love. Remember the love. And remember the love.
Hmm. Okay, now you don't have to put any cards on the table. You can just say, I've got cards. Your experiences in the past, you've traveled, you've experienced, we're not alone in the universe. Are you aware of broader realities considering your essence, your being, your soul, past
Yes.
concurrent lives? Okay, good. Um, is there anything about them all, not that they're necessarily a distraction, we don't have to go that far. Is there anything about them, though, that you would want to just mention that adds some flavor to today's talk?
First of all, past lives, future lives, alternate lives, they're all happening at the same time because time's a construct. So this is similar to going to your multiplex, your movie theater down the street. The AMC has 15 screens on it. And you go and you're sitting in the Western in screen number 7. And in a quiet, tender moment, you can hear a gunfight on the right from whatever's playing in there. And you can hear cackling from a comedy that's playing in the theater on the other side. That is kind of the relationship of your focused intention in this life experience and the impact of what else is going on if you suddenly just turn the channel a little bit. We are turning the channel a zillion times a second. You're turning the channel to a alternate life and a parallel life, and all you're changing life streams a zillion times a second. So what is the impact of the more dramatic ones, the more dramatic dreams? You get splashed by a bus in London and then you're in New York. What's the impact of it? It's a little bit like having a really bad sunburn. So I walk in and you clap me on the back. You say, Barnett, it's so good to see you. Clap me on the back. And I go, whoa. Well, my reaction is not really about you clapping me on the back. My reaction is that I have a sunburn.
Hmm.
So sometimes certain kinds of big trauma or experiences that happen on parallel life tracks, other dream streams, sometimes they carry over and we are sensitive in this life when something the same, familiar, or similar occurs. It's a bit like getting hit in the back. It's your sunburn that carried over. It's not really the thing. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, absolutely. And I think you're the right Sherlock Holmes or just Mr. Awareness for the next question. I'm going to give you 3 super quick stories. One is, I believe it was Elizabeth April on Instagram. She's like a remote viewer these days, a Canadian. What else can I say? She's recounting a story that happened in the last 3 months of a child in front of her child, probably under the age of 6. And there's another adult in the room, and she hands a marble to the child who takes the marble and says 1 in the palm of the hand. The second marble in front of both adults, 2. Third marble, 3. Fourth marble, 4. Fifth marble, the child says 4. Adults are at 5, and I believe there's only 4 in the palm after that. There was a split. I'm going to jump to the next one. Celestine Prophecy, the movie, probably from 30 years ago, James Redfield, but the actors are from Edward James Olmos, Miami Vice.
I made the movie.
You did not. Oh, I totally forgot. I apologize. Yes, then hold on. The scene
I
where they
wrote
all
and produced the
disappear.
movie.
The soldiers are searching for them. They raise their vibration. They disappear. They at least 2 different realities or slipstreams, and the soldiers pass right by them and they're safe. The third is Cynthia Sue Larson, The Mandela Effect. Not Mandela. I get all terminology wrong, but like Nelson Mandela. People can meet him if they wish. Um, she had somebody write in the most amazing story on her newsletter, which was a couple. They're at home, and unfortunately, the husband gets an accident. They know they've got to go to the ER via ambulance. The ambulance arrives. They know it's always packed. The ambulance, two people are amazing. They're and still in a great mood. Everything's jibing. They get there. Every stall is empty. There's two nurses. They're acting like, and everyone else is acting like it's full. Time flies by, 4 hours. He gets completely fixed up, repaired. They leave, but they didn't see anybody. Meanwhile, the place was totally full. They had a split. So, talking about time again, you were very aware of time, or another way to describe it. How are all three of these stories interconnected, and will time be the same 3 or 4 years from now for everyone? Or is it where you're placing yourself or how you're spending your energy, how you're
So
flowing?
when you go to sleep at night, have you ever had the experience where you go to sleep and you have a very, very long dream, and in the dream it feels like, hours or days have passed, and then you wake up in your bed and it's like 2 minutes later.
Mhm. I haven't, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Mine are always fast.
Okay, so they're fast. All
Yeah.
right. So you wake up and they were fast, and you wake up and it's 6 o'clock the next morning. So time tracks are inventions of the mind. And we say, people say, no, no, Barnett, everybody's having it, but we're all in the same dream right now. So, you, you wake, we're all in the same dream. So everybody inside the dream is operating with pretty much the same rules. And so this whole notion of, is everybody, nobody's on the same time track right now. So, um, we look at our watch and we think this is what's going on, and it's that this is my own experience that I'm pretending everybody else is sharing my experience. I'm having a conversation with you, and right now your experience and my experience have a slight overlay, like a Venn diagram. But whatever you're dreaming and whatever I'm dreaming, they occasionally intersect. If there's a takeaway from our conversation, from my side of the conversation, it's this. Every little child knows the nursery tale, the nursery rhyme, and the truth of it. Life is but a dream. Merrily, merrily, merrily. Life is a dream. So it's just something to think about. Life is a dream. And however the experience of my dreaming unfolds for me, if you're in my dream, you're either dreaming or being dreamed. So a discussion about time or anything else as if there is a law of nature
Mm.
that supersedes all dreaming makes no sense whatsoever. And one thing we are probably going to learn from um, consciousness and beings that are not of Earth, we're going to learn that they're not skidding across the surface of time. They're in one state, dreaming state. They change vibration, and now they're in another dreaming state. They're not like soaring like Artemis 2 with 10 billion pounds of thrust to move through
Mm.
dense physics of our dream state. I'm here. I change my frequency, and now I'm here. This time space to this time space.
So I have to jump on you back to Celestine Prophecy. I completely forgot. I knew that a long time ago, but now thank you for mentioning it. And I have to mention the scene with the gentleman from Band of Brothers, Lieutenant First. I can't remember his name. Yeah, he does this in the jungle, but it's the woman from either JAG, NCIS. I forgot her name as well. Names are not my easiest. She's showing him just to relax and see the natural flow, the force, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, light, chakras, you know. Have you done that? Did you do it in the old days? Was everybody doing it on the set? Have you seen auras on people or flowing between people, or just as you go to hug your dog, it's all rainbow light all of a sudden, and you're like, "Whoa, we're having a moment. I love you."
So
Uh,
sometimes I've had some experiences, but what happens is these are like parlor tricks,
hmm,
and you grow into integrating certain understandings, integrating knowledge, which when you're, for example, very young, feels like, woo, wow. And as you grow and you integrate it, the phenomena disappear
hmm.
because it's no longer the leading edge of your consciousness that is dazzling you. You grow into that and integrate it, and you don't the tricks or it's not tricks sounds like it's trying to manipulate you. It's the dazzle becomes energetically integrated in you, and the point is that your life becomes more wonderful.
And I had to add something with this. In India, they do it this way. And that's not everybody in India. India is like 40 countries in one. But so a little portion of the population does
You
it
can
this
do
way.
it. You can do it anyway. You can
Yeah.
do it
Yeah.
like
You
this.
can. Yeah, exactly.
You can do it like this. The point is that why would anybody do it?
Well, I can mention another way. You wake up in the morning and you haven't brushed your teeth, had a cup of coffee, spoken any English, had too many thoughts, hopefully. You're just a complete wah. But you look at some recessed lights like that, and it's a beach ball of rainbow
Yeah,
light.
yeah.
And
Or
then,
you watch a TV in the dark and you can see the purple around it.
yep.
My question is, why would anybody care?
Well, it's really pretty in the morning. And then
Well,
as your thinking comes in, as soon as your thinking comes in, it starts shrinking. And eventually your thinking is coming in like, wait, what am I seeing again? Even if you've already seen it for 30
when I
years,
was
it
14 years
extinguishes
old,
it. Yeah.
I remember driving around with my dad, and I remember dreaming in 2 more years I'll be able to drive. On 2 more years, I'm 14, I'll be able to drive. I can't wait. So 16 comes along and I get a license and it's thrilling. And, now decades later, I don't think about driving a car. It's integrated into my life. There are other things. How can I be more loving? How can I grow? How can I be more compassionate? How can I have impact on the world? How can I allow myself to be impacted? How can I allow myself to let in the love? I'm not interested in it anymore in driving a car. I'm not interested anymore in seeing energy. I'm interested in being an energetic vehicle. It's integrated in me. There's time to put away childish games, folks. We have challenges to deal with. They're not going to be dealt with by trying to outthink life or trying to dazzle ourselves with party games. Anybody that's been listening to this show as long as since the last time I was on it has learned a great deal about these matters and has grown in a way that hopefully changes their ability to have compassion, to be kind, to understand that kindness is a verb. If you're not active in your kindness, then you're not kind. It's time for us to put some grit behind our love and to be aware. Oh, I'm afraid of this, that, or aliens. And why am I afraid? Grow up. Why am I afraid? Well, I'm afraid because I was taught to be afraid, or because people around me were afraid of everything, or because I was raised in an environment that was suspicious of this, that, or the. Oh, well, just understand that. And do I have to be driven by that now? Now it's a choice. So can I open my heart and stop trying to outthink life And do I need to be so dazzled by party tricks? Can I just live a life now where I integrate? What is this teaching me? It's teaching me that there's energy in the world. Well, by now I know that. And I also know that if I change my attitude, if I lighten up and I share, I can have impact on other people. That is the energy in motion. That's what it's about. It's not party tricks watching the wavy wavies. It's I can be that energy and brighten somebody's day and minimize their anxiety and do what I can by my presence, not by offering opinions or feelings or fixes. By my presence, I can be a calming source to reduce somebody's fear, to let them know that they're not alone in the world. So let others know that I'm here. I don't have to say anything. I don't have fixes, but I'm here with you and I'm not leaving. And people have been listening to you for a long time, and I know most of them know that. They know this. They know this. They know this. They've been growing along with the magnificent gifts that you've opened us all to over the years. And it's made a difference. They know that they're not alone in the world. They know that there are angels. They know that there are energetic beings. They know that there's other consciousness. And so are there aliens? Of course there's aliens. There's everything. There's everything. If you can imagine it, well, if you're constantly imagining demons and devils, then who trained you to do that? Where did you learn that? You have to learn that. No baby comes into the world imagining demons and devils. Are there bad people? Is there bad energy? Yes. Yeah, there is. But you have to be trained to be focused on it all the time, as opposed to there's a lot more beauty in the world than there is darkness. It's not equal. It's not an equal game. It's a love game.
Big Mary once said, I don't know when, like 10 years ago, love is a constant, or love is in everything, or love is everywhere. I can never remember the words. Open your eyes to find love. And so I'm going to reference the light thing or this, or as Sue Frederick, a guest on the show, said 2 years ago, we were doing this back in the 70s, blah, blah, blah. But love is in everything. Love is a constant. Open your eyes to find love. And that's where everything has light on it. Our thinking is what keeps it from happening. And I had to mention couples. They're easy to talk about if they're in love or getting along, or two brothers or brother, sister, again, not fighting. They can see their light flowing between them or on everything or objects and stuff. But if you're really wild, you can ask angels to step in and make butterflies off the light streams or just off of this or that. Or you can, yeah, you can call it a parlor trick, but you get a lot of prettiness and joy just for the moment. It might make you laugh or smile or get a hug. And with that, Barnet, can we have you close out? But I'll give you a couple more quotes, and then hopefully that'll either spark something, or I know you're always good for material without any quotes, but here comes just a few quotes. The work along the path leads to compassion and joy. Compassion brings success, or focus on improvement, not results. Learn to take life really one moment at a time. With that, can you close us out on the show? And it's been a real treat to have you on.
It's been a pleasure to be here. I mean, compassion brings a sense, it brings to one a sense of connection and a sense of mattering and a sense of belonging and a sense of community. And it is a very, very high order of being state. It brings to one a sense of pleasure and impact and responsibility, the ability to respond to another person. And it feels loving. So to give love, people consider that as like the highest, but I would submit that there is something even beyond that, is to be able to receive love, not as a transaction. Not to say, if I give you compassion, then I'm going to get something. Um, if I give you compassion, it is because I have matured to a place where that is increasingly my natural state, is one of kindness.
Is this the path of the inner fearless, peaceful warrior?
It's the path. It's. I don't know what an inner fearless, peaceful warrior is. I'm not interested in that language. It's you're a human being, I'm a human being, and I care. That's the path. That's the path. That's the only path. I made the Celestine Prophecy, and it was a beautiful instruction and a beautiful guide, and it was as beautiful and important to me at the time as anything, which is why I did it. And now you grow beyond it. I learned how to get a driver's license. I'm not focused on my driving anymore. I'm learning how to drive. It's a utility.
I use that same example that you were excited to drive, you jingle the keys around, you call everybody, you get somebody to go for a ride. Flash forward to being stuck in traffic in LA or Austin, and you're upset. But if the whole mindfulness, being in the moment, appreciating the drive, even if you're stuck, the red-tailed hawk flies by and your day is made.
Question is, who is the part of me that is fighting,
Mm.
that does not appreciate the moment? What is that part? Just to become aware, where did that part get programmed? Let's forget.
Or your favorite song
Let's
that's not your
let's
favorite
forget all.
song.
Let's forget all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's forget warriors and peace. Let's just forget all that. Let's just put it down to I'm in the body, in my element, in the moment, in the car, and something comes up in the world that is triggering me. And for me to slow it down, as you said before, slow it down long enough to say, where did I learn to be triggered here? Where can I be? How can I be curious about this? Where did I learn to be, not bypass it, not look for the saw, not look for a distraction, not punch in the, Now, I don't do this all the time, so take my advice because I'm not using it. But, but, but it doesn't make it any less true not to look for ways to bypass it or to anesthetize it or to numb it out, but to go, well, where did I learn to become impatient? Where did I learn? I had to learn that. I got programmed on that. Nobody's bad or wrong, but I learned it. So if I learned it, before I decide, well, I need to unlearn it I just want to know where it came from. I can't sell a house I don't own. I need to at least find the deed. Where did I get this? And there are lots and lots of support beyond butterflies, and they are leaning in. This is all consciousness, and they're leaning in as allies,
Mm.
and they are all there energetically to support every single one of us. And if we need butterflies, it's butterflies. But that is not the big game of being an angel, is to make butterflies and to throw to throw dust on the walls. It is to lean in and support love and growth. And if you want to have love and you want to have growth, enough with the fingers. They can't wait for us to get beyond the fingers. Let's get to where we look and see, where do our patterns of behavior to come from? And then, boy, then angels and guides and beings and they rush in. Meanwhile, otherwise they're just on the side because they're saying these people are not serious. When you get serious, there is no shortage of help, seen and unseen.
Agreed.
This is
Barnett.
probably a lot more than
No,
people
no,
wanted to hear
no,
today.
it's good. It's good. I'm gonna do another one of those two steps. I'm gonna leave you with the line at this end, the words at this end, for you to then close us out
Sure.
again. But it's gonna be this. But I'm gonna do something before that. So we'll just buy. You're not gonna need the time, but it's gonna buy some time. There's no right or wrong. There's proper understanding, though. And the question to you would be: tell us succinctly, or not too succinctly, not like one or two words. What is that proper understanding? Because you're going to nail this. You've already nailed it like a dozen times in the show. But with your permission, I'm in Texas. You're, I assume, right now in California, which you're normally many times you're in California.
Yeah, yeah.
Can I put my hand up in Texas? Do you mind putting your hand up? Only love and above, not my bill paying side, thinking side, judging side. My football team lost. I'm upset side. Um, can you feel energy right now on your palm?
Yes, I can.
Okay. And I'm only going to do one more thing, not to recreate Celestine Prophecy all over again, but I'm going to blow and push with this one, look like a ping pong player or a half swan. But I'm just going to push a little love. We're going to blame angels, don't blame Canada. Here it comes. And before you answer that question, there's no right or wrong, there's proper understanding. What is that proper understanding? Did you get a little extra just now?
I can get a little extra from a rock
Or a pen.
or a pen. But
Did you get a little extra, though, from the blowing, pushing, and whatever?
I allowed myself to feel loved.
You're the best, and you're invited back anytime. You'll let me
And
know.
I accept.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey, I hope I was asking smart
You were
questions or at
great.
least entertaining questions. Good.
You were great. You were
Okay,
great. But this is,
Barnett.
this is the dawning of our day. This is the time for us
Oh,
to step up. You
yes.
talked about compassion, you talked about kindness, and this is the time to put it into practice. Compassion is a verb. And so, what does it look like to care? Can I care about somebody? Can I be a friend to somebody who is different from me and not withhold my love? Can I allow somebody who has a bit of an opinion from me, different politics from me? Can I allow them to be? Can I be with them and not withhold my love, or worse, make them invisible? Can I do that? That's what all this is about. This is all this stuff is training wheels. This
I
time
didn't
put
know
it.
I hit a spot when I mentioned
Oh no,
Celestine Prophecy. I wouldn't have known.
you hit a spot. You hit a spot because we all understand that, and now we have to get on the two-wheeler. We have to take the training wheels off. Can we be that energy so that we can be kind to each other, so that we can at least be tolerant of each other? And it begins with knowing, oh, something about this person triggers me, makes me feel they're not trustworthy, they're not suspicious, or are aliens? Are they going to be bad? Are they going to lizard me? Are they going to, just to slow it down and realize I have habituated myself into these patterns of thinking, and I'm not going to just change them overnight, but it starts with slow it down. My thoughts and my feelings have been trained by my TV habits, my culture, my community, my and it's not so easy to bend those. It's not so easy, but we have to be patient with ourselves, compassionate with ourselves, and take action. I'm going to start going, huh? Where did I get these? Where did I get these thoughts? Why am I nervous about aliens, about disclosure? Huh? Huh? I mean, they could have made themselves apparent at any time.
And they have for some.
They have, but the reason that they have, one of the reasons, I certainly don't know, can't claim to know, but one of the reasons,
We have to wait till tonight, and we're taping right now in what is this, April 7th or 8th, when there's like a midnight deadline to maybe for the first time nuclear weapons. We'll see in the Middle East. Okay.
not going to happen, but maybe, one of the reasons that they have not gone public in a major way is because they're aware that we are psychologically not integrated enough to have that without having a massive psychotic break where everybody would go nuts. We don't even know how to be with somebody across the political aisle, let alone somebody across the galaxy. And so that right there, that tells you there's a certain kind of wisdom and compassion that they know we're not going to kick the termite nest here and precipitated an entire civilizational meltdown. They have their own leaders who are precipitating a civilization meltdown. We don't need to, and we're not saviors either. We're not coming in to save anybody. So, disclosure bit by bit, warming us up. But it's not going to happen if anybody thinks that they're going to precipitate a psychotic break. And we are not tucked in enough collectively to handle it right now. We're just not.
I don't know if you heard the game show bells go off. It's not the end of the show. It's just there's a lightning round. You're getting extra material, food for thought, call it what you will. It's going back to if there's no right or wrong, but there's proper understanding for you to hit home with it. And I know you could answer it right now without hearing anything, but I'm going to throw a couple more quotes in. And I thought I had left the iPad in another room, which I did, but I have an iPhone that has this same material and I almost lost it. Okay. Here are the two quotes I want to give you. The question or the answer that these two quotes from angels are they're answering is how can a person consciously expand more? How can the world? How can mankind? Um, and here's some of the answers. Archangel Gabriel said, more interactions with each other. Human to human contact allows for soul to soul interactions. And then Archangel Uriel said, if more people would listen, less conflict would arise in any given situation. And that gets rid of the sheets here. But I had one more thing. There's an appendix in a book right now that's not loading up on Amazon. Poor Book Baby, the book publisher, had half their catalog taken off by a glitch on Amazon. So you can't find this book right now. But Listening to Angels, it was number one twice in 2025 in Angels, thanks to Coast AM. The epilogue is the appendix is by some angels, collective voice. If anyone thinks I wrote this, great. I saw balls light as I was typing. Definitely not my caliber for talking. Why angels now? And here's the part that I just thought you're going to find interesting. Awareness for mankind is on the horizon. Call it a spiritual awakening if you wish. It's a chance for all to grow. Mankind's ready for more unconditional love and compassion for all, and more compassion by all for all is needed. Mankind's ready for change from rat race mode. Happiness is obtained in the absence of ego. Ego's afraid to be vulnerable to let go and to be in the unknown. Again, there's nothing to lose and nothing to gain. Move past seeing the negative. And I'll stop it there. It goes on and on and on. If there's no right or wrong, and there's nothing we have to gain or lose, and nothing we have to learn, what is the proper understanding, Barnett? And we'll close out the show and just have you back anytime you want to
There's
come
no
on.
right or wrong. This is all wordplay. There is there is kindness. There is hostility. So there is goodness and there is evil, and intentionally inflicting or demeaning another life form is, so to say there's no right or wrong is subhuman. So there is such a thing as, when we talk about kindness and compassionate action, that is uplifting. And anything that is suppressing, it diminishes the life source. It diminishes our possibility for prosperity, for well-being, for for comfort, for joy, for happiness, for community, for connection. So when we get caught up in the words of there is no right or wrong or understanding, yes, I mean,
Well, there's no right or wrong, but there's proper understanding. I mean, for some, you have to have right or wrong. And I was going to mention
right or wrong is a psychologically young person's lane. You know, like when you're
about
bowling.
linear.
Linear. Okay. When you're bowling, there's gutters on to catch the ball. So right or wrong are the gutters. It's just so you don't go off the road too bad. But when you mature a little bit, then what the Buddhists call right action, which is affirming. I see you, I hear you, you matter to me. I give you permission to be different than me without losing my love. I want the best for you. I wish for you, I wish to diminish your suffering. I want blessed unfolding for every sentient being. All boats rise. That comes naturally, as you know, if that comes, we do that with our children unless we are psychologically damaged. We know how to do it. Then we do it with our tribes, and then we move out beyond. Eventually we can move out beyond our tribes, and when we realize, well, I do it with my tribe because we share common belief structure, but can I be loving to people that don't share common belief structure? Well, that's another psychological hurdle. So everything that you said and quoted, I totally agree with. It's a little more helpful to people when it gets unpacked.
I've got to do a final reference to Celestine Prophecy, but it's really not. I've always said for at least 10 years now, because sometimes you get asked, well, how could the world change overnight? If everyone woke up now, obviously not everyone's waking up at the same time, but pretend everybody in the world could just like this. If everyone started seeing the light on everything, now it's gonna destroy productivity for at least 3 days till you get over it. But like light on dogs, trees, tables, like the folks in India say, everything has consciousness. But if someone speaks, you and I are real estate developers. We go to Taiwan. We meet with 25 different teams in a giant room. Three of the teams, it's black light on them when they're talking, and the rest, it's rainbow light, even brighter rainbow light. And we know who we want to make a deal with. High vibe. We've got a high vibe, proper intention, 1 + 1 = 11. If everyone started seeing each other's light on each other, it would be impossible to lie. And I've seen negativity. It's black light in one form, and I'll leave it at that. And so my point is, and not to knock the color black, but if you started seeing light on everything, that could shift things. That would definitely be like tripping for the first 3 days till you get used to it. And it might make driving on a freeway a little
Well,
difficult.
this is a bit like about alien consciousness, off-planet consciousness, having the wisdom to know that if they suddenly were ubiquitous, that it would start a psychotic break. So if everybody had that suddenly, it would start a psychotic break. People are uncomfortable. Some of them are terrified and paranoid about AI and paranoid about we're already well past the secret stage. Nobody has privacy anymore. And people are upset about that, and they would be more upset if they knew the degree to which they literally have no privacy anymore.
Just
So
imagine what happens at the Starbucks if they run out of whole milk.
exactly,
It could be the
exactly.
end of the world, at least in a 100-foot radius.
So people have to people like roses and like plants, they have to flower in their own time. And not everything flowers like this. And there's no such thing as, well, what if everybody woke up at the same? People wake up, consciousness, there's only consciousness. Every single thing that you can think of, see, remember, imagine is all a modification of consciousness. We're not in consciousness. Things aren't, there's only consciousness. There's
It
nothing else.
is that so? I'm trying to do a Zen pun there.
Yeah, there is only consciousness, and everything is a modification of consciousness. So to say that every 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 expression of consciousness is suddenly going to express in a very narrow band of human potential is it makes no it's like no logic to it. It doesn't make any sense. And what would happen in a imaginary scenario? What would happen is there would be a tier that is incredibly bored and thinking, why are we doing this? And then there'd be a tier that most of humanity would have a psychotic break.
Well, and I'd lose the sliver of those who think dad jokes are funny. They'd be too obsessed with looking at auras, colors all the time. So I'll tell a final dad joke and then give you a chance to.
Nobody ever had a improved ability to relate to other people and to be inspiring to other people and to alleviate their suffering and to advise them because they saw an aura.
I love it. Um, but here's a dad joke randomly. The fruits and vegetables decide to throw a nighttime garden party. They string up the nightlights. They hire the best DJ in LA. In the middle of the party, an excited carrot, if it's adults, a tipsy carrot, jumps up on a stool and yells, "Let us turn up the beat." With
It's
that
beautiful.
one, close us out, Barnett. What do we need to remember?
This was really a pleasure. I super enjoyed being with you. We'll have to do it again. I'm inviting myself.
Yes, and I'll get you the invite. We'll have you back in the fall,
Oh, and
late
listen,
fall.
people, I
Oh,
would, if you have any interest in going deeper into the kinds of things we talked about on this show, how to be a friend in an unfriendly world, in bookstores all over and online.
and if
Or
people haven't figured it out,
you can reach me at www.barnetbain.com.
and if people haven't figured it out, Barnett helps you navigate out of complexity into simplicity. But more than that, there's nuances, and a lot of it's creativity, imagination, inspiration, joy, hope, and I'll say faith.
And practical.
And yeah, practicality, tactical, and practical, but also faith, religious, non-religious faith, whatever way you need to hear it. Um, Barnett, thank you very much for being on the show. Appreciate it.
It's such a pleasure. Be very well. To you, my friend Michael, and to all our listeners, be well.